What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. Thank you all for tuning in on this wonderful Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple other things that happened with the combine and a couple people who are getting released around the league as free agency is closely upon us. I have my friend Matt with me due to his internet issues. He is only going to be able to do audio today, but Matt, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing good. I figured that I would use my hotspot instead because I looked and it's different as far as the data it uses, so it's not going to affect my you know actual phone data much. So
There you
we're
go.
gonna do camera today. We're gonna
There
try
he
that.
is.
We're gonna
Fantastic.
try it.
Love to see that. Yes, that's better. That's
Yeah,
a
I
whole
got
hell of a lot better.
I got
Ah,
15 gigabytes, so it should be more than enough.
there you go. Awesome. Love to hear it. Hey guys, again, thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys. Helps this get out to more and more people. We're talking combine, we're talking free agency news, we're talking trades, all of this to be discussed today. But be sure to like the stream. It helps to get out to more people. Be sure to comment in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate it. Golden era, hip hop forever. Good afternoon, Colts fans. Did you guys watch and enjoy the combine after watching Anthony Richardson steal the draft? No way does he fall out of the top 10. That is definitely something we will talk about. Cody Felger Show. Cody, what's up, my dude? How you doing? For the love that of all that is holy, please pick up a semi-competent backup defensive tackle, especially with so many holes on the offense. But we still need to address that position. Oh, I'm absolutely expecting them to do that. So no worries about that. That will definitely be coming up. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. So Matt, combine was this last weekend, man. There was a lot to that happened during that combine, and of course, everyone was watching the quarterbacks specifically. How did they measure out? How did they do athletically? How did they look in the throwing drills? All of this came to light. What was your takeaway from the combine?
It was fun to watch the combine. It was also fun to watch a lot of people overreact online based on some of the numbers, but it's all good. It wasn't like there was a whole lot that surprised me. Like I expected with the quarterbacks, what they did was what I expected. Anthony Richardson, I expected him to blow it up, dominate with a lot of the drills and stuff. I knew he would come away as one of the winners. CJ Stroud, expected him to be really, really good in the passing drills and show that accuracy. Will Levis expected him to have a cannon. Stetson Bennett was one that actually surprised me with how well he did. You know, proved that he has a pretty good arm. I don't think he's going to be drafted in the top 5, but he had a pretty good combine, I thought, when it came to the quarterbacks. And then, you know, there's a lot of defensive linemen that are super fast, which Chris Ballard loves, I bet. So I bet he's going to take a few of those guys in the draft for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what was going on, I mean, honestly, all of this, like everything that happened in the combine, really shouldn't change your attitude about any
Yeah.
of these guys. We kind of expected the same thing with it. We knew Anthony Richardson was going to test, and he was going to test athletically like excellent. Like he was literally maybe the most athletic quarterback that we've ever seen come out of the
Mhm.
draft, and or out of this class. And of
Yeah.
course, we saw in the throwing drills has a beautiful deep ball, but on occasion has a few mishaps here and there on the short game and on the medium game. That's something he's going to have to work on. It's a work in progress for him. And of course, when you
Yes.
looked at CJ Stroud looked at home. I mean, he looked dialed in from the moment he threw that first football. Really only had about 2 bad throws the whole session. Everything
Mhm.
else on the dot, everything you wanted, he had it. So I mean, it's fantastic to see it. If I'm not mistaken, what's your quarterback order right now? Because I feel like I know what it was. I thought I saw it on
Yeah.
Twitter earlier, but I don't know.
So it's 1A, Bryce Young, 1B, CJ Stroud, and then it would be Anthony Richardson at 3, Will Levis at 4, but it's pretty close between those two, and then probably Hendon Hooker at 5. Although I am a big fan of Hendon Hooker. If he didn't have that torn ACL, he would be more 4, pushing 3. I know 25 years old, that's something people don't like, but when I compare him to Will Levis, Will Levis is a year older or a year younger, I should say. So the age when it came to those two never really affected in what order I would have them. But yeah, it's 1A, 1B for Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and then Anthony Richardson, followed by Will Levis.
Okay. All right. I got you. Yeah. I mean, I'm at this point, I am, I know sometimes I feel like I contradict myself a little bit with this.
I do too.
But I kind of am going back and forth on this. I'm going to say this. I'll go Stroud, Richardson, Young, Levis.
Okay.
I've gone completely flipped on the Levis train right now,
Mhm.
and gone a little bit higher on the Anthony Richardson train.
Right.
I've been on the Anthony Richardson train a little bit now for the last couple weeks, ever since I went over film with Landon. I feel like it's looked a lot better for me in that aspect. So I'm not too worried about it. But obviously, if there's one quarterback I feel like I want to get CJ Stroud, because he is by far and away the safest pick of anyone in this draft. He may not be potentially the biggest upside quarterback of everyone, but he is by far and away the safest one. And he definitely comes in right away with the best opportunity to help you in the long term. Now, I did want to say this before we get into some free agency news and a bunch of other things. Did you see what potentially the Bears were wanting for that first pick?
Yeah, it's a joke. At least with like a team like the Colts or Texans. Carolina, maybe take out that 25 and substitute that with a Brian Burns if they're willing to be that aggressive. But they have said they are they're going to be very aggressive in pursuing, or at least there's reports saying they're going to be very aggressive pursuing one of the top picks so they can get one of those quarterbacks. So, I mean, maybe Carolina could be that team. I don't think Atlanta will. I don't think they would be if there's anybody else, I guess they would have the highest chance of actually giving up that much. But there's no way Chris Ballard is going to give up 3 first-round picks when there is not a quarterback in this class that is head and shoulders above everybody else. Like, he could sit at 2 or not 2. He could sit at 4 or move up to 3, and you can still get a quarterback that you can come away and saying, hey, we might have our guy. Like, none of these guys are Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck. None of these guys are perfect. They all have their issues. I just don't think 3 first-round picks is, I guess worth it. It's too much in my opinion.
Shout out to the 72 people in here right now. Be sure to like the stream, guys. Help us out. It's to more people.
If Bryce Young was like 6'4", then maybe you can entertain
well,
that.
Yeah, then we would be talking about him being the bona fide true number one, and there's not a question in anyone's mind.
Yeah, it's just
I get what you're saying about the fact that I think here's the thing, is we as fans are thinking that there's no true difference between a lot of these quarterbacks, when I think a lot more people in the football world truly believe that there's a lot of discerned differences between 1 or 2 of these guys that really makes a huge difference. And listen, I would say this, I think it's just hot smoke. I think that it's just them saying we want this much to like force teams to think about that, right? Because only Chicago knows, like only Ryan Poles and the owner actually have sat back and said, okay, guys, so this is truly how much we want for this quarterback, right? But to everyone else in the media, we're going to go out there and we're going to say, this is what we want. So that way, when other teams see it, when other scouts and GMs and other people see this report, then
Yeah.
they start thinking that's what it's going to take, right? Even
Yeah.
if they never get it, that's where you want to start. You don't want to start low balling because then people will low ball you again. You want to start high as could possibly be, even if it seems completely unreasonable. You never know if somebody might do it. Somebody might just do it. Now, I would agree with you. The Carolina, to me, may seem like the only team willing to do that right now.
Yeah.
Maybe the New York Jets, because listen, I know they said they had Zach Wilson, but the Jets have said they really, really need a quarterback. They need one. And they were willing to, they wanted to go all in from what I heard on Derek Carr, but obviously the Saints just stole him just recently. And with Derek Carr going to the Saints, that really hurts the Colts, because now with the Jets wanting a quarterback, and they may not get if they don't get Rodgers, they don't have a veteran. They might have to go get another guy. So then Carolina needs one. Atlanta probably needs one. The Jets might need one unless they potentially trade for Lamar Jackson, which they might potentially do. But anyway, I think it's much, but I think that the only other team I could see really doing something with it is maybe the Houston Texans, due to the fact that they have two picks inside the top 15. They may not give up both of those this time around, but that makes them perfectly capable of saying, hey, you want a first rounder this year, a second rounder this year, a first rounder next year, and a second rounder next year. They're willing to give up all these picks because they have extra picks to be able to throw out there to them.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think they're going to give up both their first round picks this year. But if they're worried that the Colts could trade up and get Bryce Young,
or any of them, or any team,
whoever their number one guys, or any other team, like you said, if they go, hey, Chicago, we're going to give you our second pick, our 12th pick, and then a 2024 second round pick next year, I think they get the first pick. Because then if you're Chicago, you're like, okay, we can get Will Anderson and we can get Jackson Smith and Jigba, or we can draft a Skoranek if he falls to 12. So Houston would be the other team. And if they offered 2 first round picks this year, which I mean, they could, it's a guarantee. But maybe like you said, they could do a 23 first, a 24 first, and then like a second round pick, and they probably would get the first pick because they have 2 first round picks next year too, because of Cleveland?
Because of the Deshaun Watson trade. So they've got ammo. Work. They've got ammo. I mean,
they got
so much. And you're right. Like the Texans can spare with that, right? They got 2 first rounders for literally the next or no, not the next 3 seasons, just the next 2. But they got ammunition. They can throw that out there just to secure the fact that they know they can get the quarterback that they want. And they knew they missed out on it because of losing that last game or winning that last game against Indianapolis. So, and of course the Bears, if I'm the Bears right now, I'm saying I will take your second pick, and then I'll take your first rounder next year and a second rounder this year. Because then you may get another team who's saying, hey, I want that number 2 pick from you. So then you get more picks on top of that, and then you're just accumulating picks. And then their best bet is to trade with the Houston Texans, get 2 or 3 picks out of them, and get 2 or 3 picks out of Indy for that number 4, and then stay at number 4. They either get Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. One way or another, they get one of the best defensive prospects in all of the draft, and they just stole about 5 or 6 other draft picks.
Yeah, and if they do somewhere, they trade the first pick to Houston and then the second pick to the Colts, I think they get their choice of Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, because I think Carolina will probably trade with Arizona for that 3rd pick so they can get, one of those 2 QBs. Also, Mikey, let's not be silly today, man.
Yeah, Mikey's been in here throwing out some wild shit recently, bro. He's been throwing out some wild stuff. Okay.
Yeah, like
Derek,
the
nice to see you got a
Bears.
few things
Look,
hung up in the background. Hey, I tried
yeah,
to, man. I got a couple things up, had to
yeah.
set it up a little bit.
I added something too. I added my Darth Maul from when I went to Florida a
I
couple
had to
weeks
get
back.
the Peyton Manning signature on the
Nice.
helmet. Is official. I have the certificate.
There you go.
So,
See,
I had to get that out.
I can't find my certificate, but that football, and you can't tell it's a football, but there's a football in that like little case that has it's from the Super Bowl year. Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dwight Freeney, Robert Math, a bunch of them, and Dungy too. It's just chilling back there. But no, but yeah, if Chicago did pull that off, though, I think they do get their choice of Will Anderson or Jalen Carter because Arizona will trade out because Carolina is going to do what they can to get one of
Even
the
if
top three.
even if Carolina, even if
And
the Cardinals don't, and they take one
yeah,
of those defensive players, so what? You get the other
true.
one.
Yeah,
You get Will
that is true.
Anderson or Jalen Carter, one way or another. They're both really good. And
Yeah,
I've seen people talking about how the Colts should franchise tag Bobby Okereke and then
no,
put him in a
well,
trade settlement with the Bears.
that wouldn't be a bad idea now I think of it because I'm trying to think who else would you franchise tag? And I mean, it would
Right.
have to be done
You're not going to
today.
do that this year. You're not going to franchise tag anybody this year because there's no
Yeah,
salaries that are killing you that for the guys that you need to re-sign. And
yeah,
of course, yeah, Bobby Okereke, that's perfect because then if you throw that in with the Chicago Bears who love Bobby Okereke, right?
yeah.
Because we know Matt Eberflus, we know he loves Bobby Okereke. He'll be like, yes, bring him in
Bring
here.
him
He can
in.
be our best linebacker right off the bat. And
Yes.
you can just say, okay, we'll give you our first. We'll give you Bobby Okereke. We'll give you a second rounder, our second rounder, or maybe our third rounder this year and a
And Kenny
second
Moore.
rounder next year. I'm fine with that. That's
Or
cool
Kenny
with
Moore.
me.
You can include Kenny Moore and Okereke. But when is the deadline for franchise tags?
Not
Because I think
100%
it's
sure. I'll have
today.
to look that up while I'm at it.
I thought it was today or tomorrow. But I don't know if it's like at 4 or 5. But I know it's either today or tomorrow. I
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they do that.
Yeah, the franchise
And
tag window opens
yeah,
Tuesday and closes March 7th. So yeah,
yeah,
they have until tomorrow to do that if they intend to do that.
yeah.
And I think that would be
Tomorrow
a
4.
smart idea of them.
Yeah.
The only thing that would stink is that, if the only thing that would stink is that if we don't get that trade to happen,
Then you have
then
him for a year. Which
you have him
I
for
love Bobby.
yeah, but yeah, I guess that's true because the tag does the tag get added towards the cap?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it does.
Now, I mean, they're gonna have more money, obviously, because they're gonna cut Matt Ryan, and maybe they cut another player or two. Um, but I mean, look, I love Bobby. I do. I just think they're gonna sit down. They're gonna be like, okay, who do we bring back? Bobby Okereke or EJ Speed? I think they look at EJ Speed, go, okay, this is somebody that brings value. We can get him back for cheaper, more than likely. Plus, Zaire Franklin had a really good year this past season, so we're gonna have Leonard back. Then you have Franklin coming off of this year, and then you'll have EJ Speed, and then you can probably draft a guy day 2 or day 3, and
Okay.
you'll
So
be perfectly fine.
before we get into free agency and everything else here, we'll talk about that in a
Oh, it
second.
doesn't count?
But
Okay, I
this
guess the
one,
tag doesn't count. Is what Mikey's saying.
yeah, tag apparently it doesn't count. I thought I saw
Okay.
something that said it did, but I think
Then
it's because you only
franchise
get one
tag him.
player, so therefore it doesn't get added towards the cap for that year.
Let's
But,
franchise tag him then.
but
Even if we can't trade him, if you franchise tag him and it doesn't affect the cap, then I
I think
mean,
that's probably
you get
the
another
one
really
you need to
talented
make.
linebacker.
But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But hey, shout out to 111 of you in here right now, guys. Let's get it to over 50 likes, guys. Come on, hit that like button.
Yes.
Helps you get out to more and more people.
Pump
Now,
it up.
Levi, I have to talk about this because I was talking about this with my friend this morning, and I saw a few people talk about it today. Matt, there's a lot of Colts fans who are sitting here saying, why not wait for Caleb Williams next year?
Right.
Here's the point. So the only way that the Indianapolis Colts would have a chance, two things need to happen. Two things need to happen in order for Williams to be an Indianapolis Colt. One, the Indianapolis Colts need to suck next year.
Yes.
Suck to the point where like they're as bad as they were this year. You know, they're a fringe top 5 team in the draft, and that needs to happen that way.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. People are complaining about the amount that you have to trade away now. If you're not the number 1 team in the entire NFL next year and record and worst record, you will have to bet everything to get Williams. Everything. All of your next 3 years worth of first rounders and maybe a couple more picks on top of it just to get the kid. Yeah. And guess what? Somebody else who's at that number 1 spot may not have a quarterback. True. Why would they want to trade that?
That's true.
Who cares if there's Drake May? Who cares if there's other people that are going to come into this draft looking good? Caleb Williams is supposed to be the next transcendent quarterback.
Yeah.
No one is giving that up. You're playing the money lot that somehow happens. Almost every team in the NFL wants that kid.
Yeah.
You're betting on the option that you can actually get him. And guess what? If you don't, then what happens? What happens?
And you have to restart next year, or you have to hope.
You don't have a quarterback. You don't have this. You don't have that, and you suck for another year because you went balls out on a freaking quarterback that you still couldn't get because the other team understands just how important that kid is. Exactly. You can't. Like the only way you could bona fide know that you would get Caleb Williams is if he had the number 1 pick. And guess what? The Colts are not going to be 3-14 next year, guys. I hate to burst your bubble. They're not. Yeah, they're not going to be.
Even if they draft like Hendon Hooker in like the 2nd round, so they have somebody out there besides Sam Ehlinger, they'll probably at worst finish with 5 wins. At worst, it's what I'm thinking, because you're getting Leonard back. Leonard is not going to tank. None of these players are going to tank. And Steichen's not going to tank. And Ballard, for the sake of keeping his job, he's not going to let this team tank either. Look, if you could guarantee me that we would get Caleb Williams next year, if we don't take a quarterback, it's 100% guarantee. Nothing will change that fact. Then absolutely, I would take Caleb Williams. But also, here's the thing. What if he tears his ACL at the end of the season?
Yeah. What if he next year has a life-changing, altering injury that requires him to never play football again?
Yeah.
Then
you just never know.
You just fell apart. You just lost your opening bet before you even had a chance to play the game. Like that's the problem, is everyone assumes you can make a move like that 2-3 years down the road and just know that you can do it without ever taking into account how hard it is.
Yeah.
Like it's just not plausible.
And also, Ballard, if they were in the position to get Caleb Williams, he would probably put this aside, but I don't know if his character is all that great, because he does the whole thing with his fingernails where he puts like F Utah, F UND, F whoever they play. He does it everywhere. That's probably going to be something they're going to look at too. And you don't know. Like maybe this year he'll show that he's a great human being and he won't do that again, because, it's pretty dumb that he did that, especially when Utah absolutely smacked them. And when they lost to Tulane. But look, I mean, I guess if you don't get Caleb Williams next year, it's a better draft class for quarterbacks, because you have Drake May, you have the Florida State kid, Sam Hartman, if he goes into Notre Dame and shows that he can play in a pro-style offense really good, you have him too, but you got to get your quarterback this year. You can't just wait and keep pushing it. We've been doing that long enough. You got to get your quarterback now. Let Steichen develop him and then move forward, is what I say. So whether it's CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, whoever it is, get your guy this year. It's your job to develop that quarterback into a franchise guy. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to have a job with whatever team you're on. So you can't. You can't tank. And plus also like this comment, you're wasting a year of Quentin Nelson and Leonard and Buckner and all these guys, Taylor and Pittman. I mean, you're wasting a lot of these guys, careers. I mean, you've been wasting it, these past couple years, but it's time to get your quarterback and move forward.
Yeah, you
It's been
have to.
time.
There's no alternative. You have to do it now. You have to get it now while it's
Yes.
still there.
You have to
And
figure it out.
Levi's just saying, just hit the reset button. No, you can't
No.
hit the reset button on this current team. There's still guys that are in their prime. You
Yeah.
still got a chance. And guess what? The majority of your team is still young. The majority of your team is still so young. Why? There's no point.
And I know there's a lot of Colts fans out there that are like doom and gloom thinking, oh, it's going to take a few years to, get this team ready. But look at the defense last year. Until the last couple weeks, it was one of the better defenses in the league. And you didn't have Leonard. Now you're getting Shaq back. So your defense is going to be better because of that. And odds are you're going to add more players in free agency and the draft. So it's going to get better with that. If you get that offensive line figured out, you get your quarterback, maybe add another receiver. I mean, you may not be competing for a Super Bowl next year, but this team can make the playoffs next year. It can. Got to get that quarterback, get that offensive line touched up, get it back to normal. Hopefully the guys they have coaching the offensive line can get these guys back to what they were a couple years back, and then draft another receiver. I think this team is at least a playoff team if you do those things. I mean, I don't know about Soprano. Is that how you say his name? Tony is it Sperano or Soprano?
Yeah.
But I don't know how well he's going to do, but I'll tell you what, I think a really sneaky good hire by the Colts this year was Chris Watt, who I assume is going to be the assistant offensive line coach. Sperano. That's who it is. It's like I see Tony Soprano and Sperano, and it's going to take me a minute to get that separated because obviously you have the Sopranos and stuff. But yeah, Chris Watt is a sneaky good hire, in my opinion. I mean, he learned under Harry Hiestand. Harry Hiestand loved him. I think he's going to come in and I think he's going to help this offensive line a lot. And then also, got a really good special team coach too coming in from Notre Dame. So I don't know. Make who into Kyle Pitts.
Make him into Kyle Pitts.
I don't know who we're talking about.
I don't know. I assume he's talking about
Jelani, maybe?
I would assume. I have no idea. But I don't know at this point. I got the guy. I'm at that point where if the Colts need to give up whatever to go and get their guy, then go do it. I don't care how much it costs. I'm at that point now. I don't really care. I don't care if everyone else says that we shouldn't trade up to go and get a guy. I don't care. I don't care because you and I, Matt, and everyone else in the fan base has no flipping idea how good any of these guys actually can be, except for those guys in the freaking crowd that actually watch hundreds of hours of film watching these guys, knowing how things go. And they know who's better and who's not and who's best for the job. And if they deem it necessary to go and get the guy, that means giving up 2 first-rounders and a couple other picks or maybe even a player that goes into it, I'm all for it. I don't care at this point. I just want to get the guy.
Look, I mean, Ballard and a bunch of other GMs across the league, like they've been watching these quarterbacks, and they're probably watching tape since they were in high school. And like watching from high school all the way to this point, like they're going to do all the research they need to do. I don't think right now, I don't know. I'm not a GM. I'm not a scout. I just don't think there's a quarterback in this draft class worth 3 first-round picks. 2, you can convince me to trade 2 first-round picks and then like a day 2 pick or 2 in order to get a quarterback. I'm not trading 3. because what if the guy
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm
work
not
out?
giving up 3 first rounders either, especially given the fact that you're still sitting at number 4 and the Bears don't need that many for somebody who's trading only to number 4.
Yeah,
But I'm totally down to give up 2 firsts and whatever else. I know some people
yeah,
don't want to have us do that, but I don't care. We need to do what's necessary to get the
yeah.
guy.
I you can convince me with 2. Like if they trade 2 first round picks and they get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I may feel a little uneasy, but I'll be like, okay, they got their guy. I trust Ballard when it comes to evaluating talent. Like I trust him more than most GMs when it comes to, looking at all these players and determining who's better than the other one. I know people bring up DK Metcalf, but to be fair, every GM overlooked him. So like I don't put that against him, but I trust him at that point. If he's going to give up 3 first round picks, that's when I'll start questioning him. But if he does 2 and then like a player or a couple day 2 picks, I'll live. I'll be fine. And the emoji person, how about you be an emoji and go fuck yourself, because I do not look like Grayson Allen. Uh anyway, but yeah.
Is that the guy that keeps talking about you being Grayson
No,
Allen? I saw
I
Grayson Allen.
look, I think it's Brandon or whatever. But to be fair, it's Brandon. I'm pretty sure Brandon made another account, so it looks like more people are saying that I look like him in the chat.
Of course.
Um, so I
Just
have to
ignore
disagree.
them, man. Just ignore them.
So
All
he
they're doing is trying to
says,
get a rise
"Here's
out of
the
you.
options. I want to know what you think. So out of these people, who do you think I look like? This is according to Brandon: Vladimir Putin, Josh Allen, or Grayson Allen. I have no idea where Josh Allen came from. That's the first time I actually hearing
Yeah,
Josh Allen.
I don't know. I don't know if I can say about Josh Allen.
Yeah, I've never heard
You
that in my
look
life.
like a Grayson Allen more than all
No,
three.
I
All
don't
three of
look
them.
like a terrorist.
Derek, you look like Chris Ballard.
I'm not a
No,
terrorist, ladies and
no,
gentlemen.
not.
Thank you,
Everyone
Mikey.
just says Everyone just says I look like fat Andrew Luck. That's pretty much what I look like.
You do kind of have the Andrew Luck face.
I do have a little bit of the Andrew Luck
You
face.
just you
I
need
get
the
that.
voice.
But anyways, let's get back to topic here, shall we?
Yes.
Anyways, we're done talking about quarterbacks for a while. There
Yes.
will be a lot more time to discuss it. There is a month and a half until the actual draft is here.
Yep.
I got a Pat Mahomes voice. Yeah, I guess. Anyways, roster
It's got to
cuts.
sound like Kermit the Frog. That's what it's got to kind of sound like. It's got to sound like a deeper Kermit the Frog. Yeah, Jenny, I don't know what we're talking
There
about.
can only be in this town for 2 frogs.
This is what it is. It's like, yes.
Hey, Grace.
Well, Travis Kelce, he got wide open, so I obviously threw it to him. It's got to be like that. It's a little raspy, I guess.
All right. Cut players.
Cut players.
Hey, listen, Carson Wentz got cut the other day.
That is true.
Very very interesting. I mean, I guess Ballard won that trade, huh?
Yeah, and can I say this about Carson Wentz real quick? Look, yeah, there obviously were issues when he was in Indianapolis. I get it. But and this is not really necessarily towards Colts fans because it's only been a year, but can people chill out with Carson Wentz? Like, I'm talking to you Eagles fans. Like, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Get over it. You're like my ex, okay? You're like a crazy ex-girlfriend that just can't get over it. It's like you're that crazy ex that stands outside someone's house looking in the window. You can't, come on. You've been to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. Move on. Like, look, did he hurt you that bad? Like, do you guys really need therapy that much to still not be over Carson Wentz? Like, let him go. He's gonna go somewhere. He's gonna be a backup more than likely, but I don't know. Maybe he gets lucky and goes to the Jets and he can be the starter. But let him go, Eagles fans. Let him go. I've seen a lot of people being like, "Ha ha, he sucks." Okay, he's not on
congrats.
your team.
Thanks. Way to beat a man while he's still down.
Yeah,
Jesus.
He gets trashed on so much, and I get it. He's made some boneheaded mistakes, absolutely. But come on, let him live his life. He's like a legit good dude. He's like a
Yeah,
good guy, and just let him be.
and people still want to act like as if he's like he never accomplished anything. I mean, again,
Yeah.
he was on his way to an MVP season before he got hurt in the season in which they went to a Super Bowl. Okay.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to
And
hear any of that.
it's
But
like, look, like,
but the big one,
I get it.
bro. I mean, so a bunch of
Yep.
Kansas City Chiefs players getting cut or not signed.
Yeah.
Frank Clark just got cut today. And
Mhm.
from what is being told is that Orlando Brown didn't get franchise tagged. So they need to come up with a deal within the next week, or else he's hitting the free agent market. And I mean, clearly, Matt, Orlando Brown is one of the best left tackles in the game right now. I mean, that's insanely rare that a franchise left tackle gets left on the open market like that. I mean, obviously, from our perspective, I don't think we need him, but
No.
but from an outsider perspective, that's got to be insane. Orlando Brown not potentially hitting the open market.
So he's not even 30. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, he's like 27. He's like still in his prime. I mean, the dude is still in his prime. You could get that dude for a solid 3-4 years easy and have a solidified one of the best left tackles in the entire league.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think the perfect team for him to go to money-wise, and he would obviously be the starter pretty much everywhere he goes, but money-wise, Chicago. That'd be because I think Chicago is going to rebuild that offensive line. I think he'd be like the perfect, player to bring in for Chicago this year. You get your left tackle. Yeah, you're going to have to pay a lot of money, but they're going to have over $100 million to spend. So I could see him going to Chicago, but yeah, I'm really surprised Kansas City didn't just like cut other players so they can bring him back, because he's a very good left tackle. Like, if we didn't have Bernard Ryman, I would be clamoring for the Colts to go after him. I think he's going to go like Chicago or maybe a Carolina or something like that.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. But yeah, and then you said Frank Clark was the other one.
Frank Clark,
defensive lineman. Yeah, that would be somebody. How old is he? That is the question.
Frank Clark is 29.
29?
And also, by the way, Orlando Brown is 26.
Yeah, how do you let him go? I don't know how you let him go.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta pay him close to what Trent Williams is getting. You have to.
Yeah. So I mean, Frank Clark had a pretty good year last year. It was better than the 21 season. Obviously his best year was probably that 2018 where he had 13 sacks. Depending on the money, I'd be more than happy to bring in Frank Clark.
Yeah,
because I don't think we're bringing Ngagwe, so
it just depends. Like you said, everything's all about the money right now.
Yeah.
Just what are these guys gonna go for? There's a lot of different things that are going on right now. Obviously, Bud Dupree just got cut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and also, by the way, guys, we will have a video going up on this tomorrow on some free agents that the Colts could be looking at. So don't worry, we will be we will definitely have this going forward. Of course, we got Angie trolling us in here. Cutting Matt Ryan would be a huge mistake. I'd like to see
Damar Hamlin or
no, Lamar, I think is what she said.
Oh, okay. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to Lamar. You got to make some, moves in the off season, and you're probably not going to be able to bring that. Is it Samalu, the right guard from Eagles? Samalu.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get him, and I think he's somebody to watch for when it comes to who the Colts are going to sign. But I mean, if you can get rid of the contracts of Matt Ryan, Ryan Kelly, Kenny Moore, and maybe Mo Alley-Cox, then I think Lamar could be in Indy. I think we could afford him at that point. It's just you're going to have to do some New Orleans Saints type of juggling when it comes to the contracts. If you're going to keep Jonathan Taylor after next season and Michael Pittman and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't hate Lamar, in my opinion. Yeah, but who was
Arizona Cardinals releasing
who
Robbie
was it?
Anderson. The
Matt
Bears are going
Ryan.
to end
That's
up
what it is.
releasing Al-Qadim Muhammad again. The
Mhm.
Browns are going to be releasing John Johnson. Detroit Lions are releasing Michael Brockers. Minnesota Vikings actually released Eric Kendricks today, which is strange.
Yeah.
And then Tampa Bay is releasing Leonard Fournette and Cameron Brate. Tennessee Titans just have released quite a few people. They released Zach Cunningham. They released Bud Dupree. They released Taylor Lewan. They cut Robert Woods, their center Justin Britt, and their kicker Randy Bullock. So clearly, the Tennessee Titans are cleaning house, especially on the defense.
Yeah, and it's smart for them to do that because I think it's clear at this point that Tennessee is just they might win the division, like that could happen, I guess. But as far as like getting to the Super Bowl with the way that team was just created and all that stuff, I don't see them getting past the divisional round. And apparently Derrick Henry might be on the move too.
Yeah, I heard
Which
he's on the trading block too. You know
would
what
make me
scares
happy.
me, Matt? You know what really
Yeah.
scares me?
What?
Is that the Tennessee Titans are cleaning house. They've already said they want to go with Ryan Tannehill for one more year.
Yeah.
My guess is they are trying to make this look as bad as possible. They're trying to gain into the top 10 next year for the draft order so they can have a chance at drafting Caleb Williams if they bet their entire future on getting Caleb Williams in the draft.
Yeah, like you said, if there's a team that needs a quarterback that has the first pick, Caleb Williams will not be in Tennessee. He'll be with somebody else. The only way I could see Tennessee actually getting Caleb Williams is if he goes, or if Tennessee ends up getting the first pick or the second pick, and then they can trade up to get the first pick. I just don't see that happening. Honestly, if I was Tennessee, I would have cut Ryan Tannehill and I would have went with Malik Willis to see what he could do this year, just to see what you got with him. Give him a full year as a starter, and if there's promise, then you got your guy potentially. If he stinks, then odds are you're going to get a top 3 pick, and you could get Caleb Williams, you could get Drake May, or one of the other quarterbacks. It's a really good class next year, so that's what I would have done personally, just so 100% if you have your franchise quarterback of the future. Because, I mean, it was obvious that Willis needed to develop. So I would have thrown him out there to see what he could do. But yeah, if they trade Derrick Henry, I'm going to be happy. Very, very happy if that happens. I just hope, I'll see if I can find the comment, but somebody said, get him out of the AFC South and the AFC. I hope that happens too.
Yeah.
I gotta scroll up. See, yeah, it was a golden era hip hop forever. He was the one that said it.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Honestly, though,
Allen Robinson.
I wouldn't hate it, but not for the money that I believe he's currently getting paid.
Yeah, isn't he getting like a $15 million contract? The Rams are going to have to take the majority of that contract. Honestly, whoever they trade him to is not going to take that contract. So they're going to have to eat it, the majority of it. So
I would rather get either Hopkins or Keenan Allen if we were going to pay, good money to get a receiver. Those would be the two. But I would almost rather just get a guy in the second round. Josh Downs is somebody that I would be very happy if the Colts are able to get. I wanted Zay Flowers. I just don't see him leaving the first round. I think people are finally seeing what I saw for the past couple of years, which is a very, very good receiver that is going to be very dangerous for whoever plays or whoever picks him. But it would be funny if Henry gets traded, because then Tennessee would be
Here's
down bad. I
here's
wish Simmons
a
was
free
available.
agent that I would actually like to get, Matt.
Yeah.
If the Colts would be interested, uh, quarterback Jameis Winston. That would be a name that I would love to see on the roster, because if
Mhm.
you expect the Colts to release both Matt Ryan and Nick Foles,
Yeah.
obviously Jameis Winston will be the free agent. And
Yeah.
now Jameis may not love the idea of being a bona fide backup,
Uh-huh.
but he is in a situation where, he just wants to be in a system where he feels like he can thrive. And
Yeah.
I get it. Like, people hate Jameis Winston for a lot of different reasons. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people fail to realize that when he went to New Orleans, he actually became a much more efficient quarterback at the
Yeah.
position, because he cleared his freaking head straight and he finally figured out what he needed to do to actually be a good football player.
Mhm.
So I'm all for it. I mean, I know he's going to
Yeah.
be a backup. He would just be the backup and say, hey, like, and maybe that is a situation where, hey, if you want an Anthony Richardson in the draft, maybe it wouldn't be such a terrible idea to have a Jameis Winston come in and, be that guy that's going to compete with Anthony Richardson to start off, like
Yeah.
that could be good for him.
Yeah. So, like, my whole thought process for the quarterbacks in this draft was, if you're going to take Richardson, get a guy like Jameis Winston or a guy like Marcus Mariota, somebody that you could throw out there and he'll win you 6 to 8 games with this roster that we currently have. If they're going after Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, maybe Will Levis, I would prefer an Andy Dalton type of quarterback, because he's going to be a free agent too. Um, but it all depends what quarterback the Colts are going to take. If they go with Richardson, I want somebody you could put out there. I would probably prefer Winston. Somebody you could throw out there for a while until it's time to put Richardson out there. But if you're going with a guy like Young, Stroud, Levis, go with the Andy Dalton type of quarterback that can, like somebody mentioned in the comments, somebody that can be a mentor to the guy that we get. And
Mhm.
Andy Dalton, I think he's at the point to where wherever he goes, he's going to accept the fact that he's going to be backup. Plus, you'll get him for pretty cheap too. It won't be that much money. If you go with a Winston, you're going to probably have to pay
Maybe,
around 10 to 15
maybe,
million.
maybe. But the thing is when Jameis Winston was brought to New Orleans, he was brought there under the condition that he felt like he was going to be the starter, in which he was for the longest time. And then he got injured. Then they brought him back. Then they brought
Yeah.
Andy Dalton in. And then they just never put him back in, which is
Right.
weird, because Jameis
Yeah.
Winston was clearly playing better than what Andy Dalton was, but New
Yeah.
Orleans did him dirty. So
Yeah. And
I'll take my chances on it. I don't. You
right.
obviously would only sign him if he's willing to take a contract somewhat similar to what Nick Foles' contract was. But
Yeah.
obviously, like you said, if he's wanting something close to what he was wanting when he came to New Orleans, then
Yeah.
clearly we need to look a different direction.
Yeah. And it's like, I didn't understand, like you said, why they went with Dalton for the rest of the year, especially since New Orleans didn't have a first round pick. So that always confused me. It was like, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not against Jameis Winston. I wanted him last year. He was one of the quarterbacks I wanted. If it wasn't going to be Matt Ryan, I wanted Jameis Winston. He was my next man up. Of course, I thought Matt Ryan was going to be better than a bag of turds, but obviously
Right.
that wasn't the
That's what
case.
we all thought,
Um,
and like, honestly, like, and that's the sad part too, is um if Matt Ryan was in any way, shape, or form salvageable, then I would have no
Yeah.
problem with us drafting Anthony Richardson in this draft. It's just kind of one of those situations where,
Right.
if the Colts made a bad decision on trusting Matt Ryan to hold up
True.
and, remain the same quarterback. He made a mistake.
True.
Time to
Now,
move on and start
yeah,
fresh.
true. Now, somebody brought in the comments, nothing to do with quarterback, but Jerry Jeudy as a potential option. Another
Are
good
they
point.
talking about him getting cut?
No, like Colts trading for him
Oh,
because
yeah.
the
Okay.
Broncos, they need picks. Like
I
somebody,
wouldn't
let
hate
me
that.
see if I can find that.
I wouldn't hate that.
I like
Dude,
Jerry
another
Jeudy.
one. Freaking DeAndre Hopkins, bro.
Yeah,
DeAndre
he's
freaking
another guy to
Hopkins.
take.
From what I heard,
Yeah,
second rounder.
I do.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
Take it. Take it right here.
Look,
Cardinals, come take it. Seriously.
I would do that as well because we need a veteran receiver, I think. Like
Yeah.
I think Michael Pittman's our oldest receiver, or no, Paris Campbell. Assuming he comes back.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Paris Campbell is, and he's what, 25, 26?
Something like that.
But I mean, like, it's not
I'd
even
like to
about
get
the
a vet
age.
in
It's
there.
just a matter of fact that DeAndre, when healthy, is still a really, really good wide receiver. May not be elite anymore, but he's still really, really good. I mean, this is a guy that can still play like as if he's a top 20, 25 wide receiver in the league. And that's what we need right now. And
maybe,
I mean, at the end of the day, and if it's a second rounder, so what? You have other draft capital that you can use if you want to trade up with other teams, which is fine. Just trade for DeAndre and get your whatever quarterback you're about to get, a really good wide receiver to have for the next couple years, and build that trust.
And heck, maybe depending on what happens with Chicago, you could do something where Arizona trades the third pick and DeAndre Hopkins for whatever the Colts would have to give up for the third pick plus the second pick for Hopkins. You can include it all in one. Assuming Hopkins is still with Arizona before Chicago trades and all that stuff starts to happen. So maybe you could just do it all at once. I would be all for Hopkins, or Keenan Allen is the other guy I would be for as well. I just want a veteran. Like the Colts can't afford both of those guys because Matt Ryan's going to free up like $18 million or $17 million.
Like 17 mil, yeah.
And then they'll make some more moves or whatever. So I mean, they could afford another receiver and still bring in another right guard in free agency. Like, I mean, it's definitely possible. They don't have nearly as much as what they had a year ago, but they can make it work. Like people have said before, salary cap, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the freaking Saints right now, right? Like the Saints are figuring it out. The Saints are having to clean house again this year, but yet somehow, some way, they were able to pay Derek Carr a 4-year, $150 million contract with $100 million guaranteed, and they're just moving that contract back, because at some point or another, it's just going to keep piling up. It keeps piling up, but until the NFL gets to a situation where it has a clause in it that says that teams can't keep manipulating contracts like they do, then teams are going to do that. It's just
true. But I don't know. I also saw too, we
will not stand for the insulting of Tony Dungy on this podcast. I will legitimately put you in timeout if you want to start doing that.
Not that block man alone.
But I'll put you in timeout if you don't learn your lesson right here, right now. We will not stand for Tony Dungy slander. No way. Never.
He's a nice man.
Yes, he is. But and a brilliant football coach.
Yes, he's a great coach. Got us a Super Bowl. Our only Super Bowl in Indianapolis. So we will not trash on Tony Dungy.
That man.
Whether or not he said things you may disagree with, we will not trash him. Okay.
Grow up, people. Grow up.
But anyway, but I did see too, more than likely Dalton Schultz is gone from Dallas as well, because they franchise tagged Tony Pollard.
Judy's still on the rookie contract. Oh, okay. Then that could be
why. That's why I saw that, and people are like, look, Denver needs draft picks, and that's why I'm for Jerry Jeudy coming here. Yeah, you're probably
Right.
gonna have to work out a contract during the offseason, but I mean he's proven he can be a very good receiver too. You just got to use him right, and it'd be another really good weapon for whatever quarterback comes in. I think they need a vet personally.
Yeah.
Like I think the Colts need a veteran in there. Whether it's a guy
Oh, yeah.
like DeAndre Hopkins or a guy like T.Y. Hilton, somebody like that. They need a veteran that can
There's a
kind of
couple
be the
veteran
leader of
wide
this group.
receivers on the free agent market. We'll see how they go,
Yeah,
but one way, shape, or form, Indianapolis isn't getting a really good wide receiver on the free agent market. They're going to have to trade for one of them.
yeah,
There's a couple tight ends that are on the free agent market that could potentially be interesting, but we will just have
yeah.
to see. We'll have more discussions on that coming up. But I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. I'm about to get ready for another podcast on my other channel. So
Nice.
we're going to deal with that. But
Good
Lawrence just came in
Lawrence.
here. Hold on. What is it? Oh, I have been told
Good.
by Paris himself that there's mutual interest between him and the Colts to re-sign him.
Very
That's
smart.
great news, Lawrence. I love hearing that. Thank you. That's great news of the day. I really needed to hear that. He's my guest
Yeah,
tomorrow on my show. All right.
nice.
Hey, love it.
That would
Love
be
it, man.
smart.
Love to hear that.
Yeah,
I love to hear that. We need it. We need to keep Paris Campbell around.
And I think this proves that you shouldn't like look at people tweeting on Twitter as like cryptic things, because there's some people thinking, oh no, Paris is gone by a couple tweets he put out there, but he never said it looks like my time is done. Thank you guys so much for rooting me on or cheering for me and stuff. Like that's another reason why we shouldn't take Twitter seriously. But
Right.
yeah, I think it's smart to bring him back. You're getting especially if you use him properly, and I think Steichen will use him properly. That's a dangerous receiver.
Oh yeah.
Like not a lot of people are quite that quick. And JDW finally being a member, it took him
He
this
actually
long.
upgraded. Actually.
Oh, he upgraded. Look.
Yeah, he upgraded. Yeah,
Okay.
he upgraded.
Well, I
Got
apologize.
juice. Hey, love to
I
see it, JDW.
apologize. Okay,
Thank
it's
you,
a
my
new
guy.
member, so I freaked out.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. He's been a member for a while. I
okay.
appreciate the guy.
Yeah.
He actually just hit 1,000 subs on
joking.
YouTube. Did you see that?
Which I did, which is awesome.
Sweet. So
I wasn't the first
yeah.
person he thanked, but whatever. I'm kidding.
Did
kidding.
he thank you at all?
Yeah, he did thank me.
Okay, I was gonna say,
I
yeah,
was
he
just joking
thanked
with
he
him.
thanked
I
me
like
and
messing
Cody
with
and
him.
his too. So
I like
love
messing
it,
with
but
him sometimes.
he's been a member for 8 months, and of course he
Dang.
decides to say AR-15 with his message too. So
Yeah,
we got more of that.
Richardson.
But anyway, we're gonna end that there, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Shout out to my guy Matt for helping me out. Despite his internet issues, he prevailed, and we were able to get a very solid podcast off. So greatly appreciate him.
I feel like it worked.
Yep, it worked. It worked out good. I didn't want to have to do this one by myself, so I greatly appreciate that. It says I arrive and y'all leave. Sorry, bro. It's just how it is sometimes, but I see how it is. Don't worry, man. We got more videos coming out, and we'll have more live streams like this within the next week or two, because there's going to be a lot more news to talk about. Absolutely. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, go Colts.